That the Lord has made. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. With me, Olive Monica Najuma, with Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono, alongside Chantal Olive Akandinda and Jerome Paul Sonko. Yesterday, there were running battles between members of the National Unity Platform Party and the Uganda Police Force, plus other security agencies. Police rounded off and cordoned off the National Unity Platform Party offices. And of course, I believe some of you saw the footage of Mitiana Member of Parliament, that is Francis Zake, in his car that was also towed by security agencies. And today, the 23rd of July 2024, the Gen Zs are planning to march to Parliament in a bid to fight against corruption. Those are the events happening today and some of the events that happened yesterday. And we're happy to bring you the updates regarding the same. For now, good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you?
I'm very fine. Just looking at certain things happening in the country. Well, first and foremost, if you're thinking of demonstrating, marching to Parliament, it is illegal. Police has already confirmed that. It is illegal and they will not tolerate. But for me, what stood out yesterday, I saw pigs at the headquarters of the National Unity Platform that had Joel and 1.7. And I'm like, at one time, these were at Parliament. Now, they're at
the party offices.
The party offices. And I was like, sometimes the method you use can also be used against you. Like one man said, no one has monopoly over violence. So sometimes you must be very careful of what methodologies we introduce to solve some problems when we are aggrieved, knowing that the very methods can be copied by someone and they can shoot at us using the very method.
Robert,
but you make it sound...
Are you implying Noop is the one that has been taking the pigs to Parliament?
He's also making it sound
because
like it is Joel
allegation.
Senyonyi who took the pigs to Parliament. Weren't they university students, though, who did that in the past?
I don't mention anyone. I just say sometimes the method
semantics.
Let's go to social media. I was seeing certain things being used for Honorable Matthias Impuga. Now, the same graphics, the same whatever, we are seeing them being used. Yet by then they were praised by some people. When they were being shown, you'd look at the comment section and you would see how people are reacting. Now, you see, some of the things we introduce at one time, they can work against us.
Well, one would say that you are pointing at someone, but I will pretend that I don't see it. Good morning, Jerome Paul.
Good morning to you, Monica, and good morning to our dear viewer.
Yes, events occurring today. The president sounded a warning which was precise, concise, and straight to the point. Do you see us having peace today?
Well, my observation is on a fingers crossed kind of thing. I have my fingers crossed. I just want to observe and see how everything is going to take place, because yesterday I was following, different media platforms where many of the young people were also gearing up to march today. And then also the security operatives in the country were also warning them. So it's like all the camps are showing that nonetheless everything has to go on as planned. So we as the media are here to watch and see everything happen, and of course try to look at it from an objective angle and see if at all is well. But we do hope that by the end of the day property isn't destroyed. We hope that lives are not lost as well, and we hope that everything goes on peacefully in regards to any kind of happenings besides that. But also it is time for us to also remember and say rest in peace to the former UNEB who passed away. Yes, I'm forgetting the title.
UNEB Executive Director?
Executive Director. Yes. I didn't want to mess up around there. That is Mr. Matthew Bukenya. I think he has been at the helm of the Uganda National Examinations Board for quite some time, and he's a man who many of those in the education sector have been speaking highly of, and may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace.
At some point,
Chantal, good morning.
Good morning, Olive.
You were saying something?
Yes, I was saying at some point, some of us named UNEB Bukenya actually.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It was
time for exams. It would, Bukenya is coming.
Bukenya is coming.
Is strict. Bukenya was tough, something like that. And I guess let's just say we wish his soul to rest in peace, and of course to the family, our condolences.
Our condolences indeed, and we hope that he rests in peace, and to the family that the Lord comforts and strengthens you in this time of pain. May his soul rest in peace. You know, you've done a good job if the organization you lead is referred to by your name, and people even sometimes forget that the organization has its own name. So he reigned at the Uganda National Examinations Board for quite some time, and like Chantal said, most of us came to identify UNEB as Bukenya's UNEB. Kantabi is coming and you say Bukenya is about to do his thing. Well, let's get into the news right now.
Well, we'll begin with what we've just talked about, the planned illegal protests to Parliament. Now, there was heavy deployment of security agencies in Kampala yesterday ahead of the much anticipated protest by a group of unknown youth dubbed Walk to Parliament, organized to protest the rampant cases of corruption by government officials. Police spokesperson Lushoke Kituma said that deployment is a preventive measure. Security agencies include police and army were heavily deployed on streets of Kampala by yesterday morning. Government installations such as Parliament, ministries, agencies such as the National Broadcasting Corporation and roundabouts saw heaviest deployment. According to the police spokesperson, the deployments are to ensure there is no chaos ahead of the planned protests today by unknown youth. The youth are threatening to walk to Parliament over what they termed as rampant corruption by top government officials. It is not clear who is behind today's protest and whether it will go ahead as planned. In the recent address to the nation, President Museveni urged the planners of the march to Parliament to seek clearance from the security organs or they will face the long arm of the law.
Moving on, Uganda Police Force will not condone any protests in Kampala's Central Business District. This as warned by the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Rusoke Kituma. He says all police sector commanders have received special instructions to prevent the alleged march to Parliament protest slated for tomorrow. Slated for today, the 23rd of July. On July 18th, 2024, the police authorities met with the purported organizers of the protests against corruption by various government officials, particularly parliamentarians. All police territorial commanders have been instructed to enhance their operations in response to the planned unlawful demonstration known as the March to Parliament. Field force detachments have been directed to prepare a quick response force. Inter-security agencies have reaffirmed their commitment to preventing any unlawful assemblies that are aimed at disrupting the rights of others. In response to the accusations of selective application of public assembly regulations, the police defend their actions, stating that they always collaborate with organized groups. Despite the police meeting with the purported organizers of the March to Parliament demonstration, no mutual agreement was reportedly reached regarding the fate of the procession.
And moving on, police and army cordoned off the National Unity Platform headquarters in Makere, Kavule, and arrested some National Unity Platform members, including Zake Francis. The party president, Robert Kyagulanyi, condemned the act while speaking to reporters after the cancellation of a press conference at the headquarters. The National Unity Platform headquarters at Makere was surrounded by police and army forces, creating tension at the venue. Several members, including Honorable Francis Zake, were arrested who had and interaction with police. The police cancelled the planned press conference at the NUP headquarters, citing a security threat. Robert Chagulanyi, the party president, condemned the police action in the subsequent press conference held at his home in Magere. He was unhappy for government's failure to grant permission to use the Koro Independence grounds for their anniversary celebrations. Police spokesperson Rushoke Kitumwa stated that the police believed NUP was planning an unlawful demonstration and intended to use the gathering for mobilization of the anti-corruption protest. Dr. Lina Zediraga, the party's vice president, was also arrested but survived being whisked away to the central police station. NUP members who arrived at the headquarters were denied entry and voiced concern about their rights being violated. The heavy presence of police and army tightened the tension and restricted a number of them and movements around NUP headquarters.
Now, still on the same, the Interreligious Council of Uganda is calling upon the young people to adopt peaceful and constructive dialogue as a means to air their grievances. Religious leaders are advocating for a more holistic approach to address the issues affecting society. As the clock ticks down to the much-anticipated March to Parliament protest by the youths over corruption, the Interreligious Council of Uganda has spoken out about the matter. Religious leaders believe in the need to build consensus and create dialogue spaces for young people to express their grievances. They have called upon the government to listen to the issues being raised by the young people and their constituencies. Now with that, we end our local news. Chantal takes us through the news across the borders.
Now let's start off with the Israeli war and a new Israeli military assault on eastern Khan Yunis in southern Gaza has killed at least 70 Palestinians and injured more than 200 according to health officials in Gaza. The attack by tanks, aircraft and artillery came just minutes after the Israeli military ordered the evacuation of areas in Khan Yunis that the Palestinian Civil Defense says affects more than 400,000 people. UNRWA Chief Felipe Lazzarini has called for accountability after Israel's military attacked a clearly marked UN convoy traveling to Gaza City in coordination with Israeli authorities. At least 39,006 people have been killed and 89,818 injured in Israel's war on Gaza. Away from that, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has enough support from Democratic delegates to become the party's presidential nominee, according to the Associated Press and Reuters news agencies. Harris launched her first full day of campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination following Joe Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 election race, delivering a fiery speech attacking Republican Donald Trump as a felon and pledging to win the November 5th election. Biden's decision to drop out of the race came after weeks of pressure following a disastrous debate performance against former President Trump. U.S. Secret Service head Kimberly Chito tells lawmakers the assassination attempt of Trump last week was the agency's most significant operational failure in decades. And lastly, Tanzania's Information Minister Nape Nnauye has been removed from his post following an outcry over comments he made suggesting that elections could be rigged. Mr. Nnauye was filmed at a rally on 15th July saying that he would help a fellow ruling party MP win in the 2025 election. He added that the election results are not necessarily those in the ballot box, rather they depend on the person counting and making announcements. Following a public backlash after a video of his controversial remarks went viral, Mr. Nnauye said he had made them in jest. President Samia Suluhu Hassan sacked him from the cabinet on Sunday as part of a wider reshuffle. She did not give reasons for her decision. The video, filmed on Mr. Naoya's visit to the northern city of Bukoba, also showed the former minister saying, "Because I am good at election tricks, I will assist to emerge victorious." And that leads us to the end of our international stories this morning.
Well, thank you, Chantal. You know my attitude every time I see President Samia Suluhu doing something, and that is from a woman perspective.
As it should have
Nothing
been.
else.
As it should have been.
Well, as it should be, indeed. Yes. Well, Joram, take us through the dailies.
You'll be shocked by the video that was showing her fleet of vehicles over the weekend. Close to...
She's president.
You're ruining the party. Let's continue.
Away from that, let's get into the press review this morning. The New Vision is highlighting the cooperative cash. 2 lawyers have been summoned as the union boss has been charged, more lined up for arrest because of this saga. Then also why President Museveni returned loan scheme bill to Parliament as Kabaka back from Namibia. Details in the New Vision now. The obituary, ex-UNEP boss, ex-UNEP boss's candle burns out. Then the Daily Monitor, look at the 7 demands as the D-Day is here. The president has warned, the police have put down their feet, and the youth have said they are on motion and will make good their call to march to Parliament in a demonstration against corruption. So there are 7 demands that the young people are putting forward. You can find more details with the Daily Monitor. Then in the other news, girl with hearing and speech loss shines at Lira Beauty Crown Contest. Then also, help us and sniff out corruption, Museveni tells new Auditor General, as lawyers withdrew case without my consent, says Kazinda to the court. Then the Daily Nation, crisis as Treasury fails to release 30 billion Kenyan shillings county cash. The devolution, there is a total of 35 counties that have not received more than 500 million Kenyan shillings each. That is with the Daily Nation. Then pressure mounts on Ruto over new cabinet as Kamala keeps eye on the prize in White House race. Then in the economy, shilling in fresh slump due to political tension as IEBC Constitution Electoral Body's selection panel will be in place next week. Now, agony over missing kin. Tens of people have gone missing since the start of protests last month, says the Daily Nation now. Lastly, the Citizen, what next after Biden drops out of US arrest? Then national arrest, housemaid in custody over attack on 6-year-old boy. Then CCM power play on display in Makamba and Nape removal. The President Samia Suluhu Hassan's decision to drop January Makamba from the cabinet has laid bare power play politics within the ruling Chapa cha Mapinduzi as the 2025 general election draws closer, according to party insiders. Then 5G uptake rises to 15% in second quarter of 2024. And that is it from our press review today.
Well, thank you, Jerome Paul. Now, I hope that someday you will sing this song to someone, Jerome Paul. And it is You Sang to Me by Mark Anthony. Enjoy.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
That the Lord has made. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. With me, Olive Monica Najuma, with Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono, alongside Chantal Olive Akandinda and Jerome Paul Sonko. Yesterday, there were running battles between members of the National Unity Platform Party and the Uganda Police Force, plus other security agencies. Police rounded off and cordoned off the National Unity Platform Party offices. And of course, I believe some of you saw the footage of Mitiana Member of Parliament, that is Francis Zake, in his car that was also towed by security agencies. And today, the 23rd of July 2024, the Gen Zs are planning to march to Parliament in a bid to fight against corruption. Those are the events happening today and some of the events that happened yesterday. And we're happy to bring you the updates regarding the same. For now, good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you?
I'm very fine. Just looking at certain things happening in the country. Well, first and foremost, if you're thinking of demonstrating, marching to Parliament, it is illegal. Police has already confirmed that. It is illegal and they will not tolerate. But for me, what stood out yesterday, I saw pigs at the headquarters of the National Unity Platform that had Joel and 1.7. And I'm like, at one time, these were at Parliament. Now, they're at
The party officers.
the party officers. And I was like, sometimes the method you use can also be used against you. Like one man said, no one has monopoly over violence. So sometimes we must be very careful of what methodologies we introduce to solve some problems when we are aggrieved, knowing that the very methods can be copied by someone and they can shoot at us using the very method.
Robert,
But you're making
Robert,
it sound...
Are you implying Noop is the one that has been taking the pigs to Parliament?
He's also making it sound
Because
like
that is
it
an
is Joel
allegation.
Senyonyi who took the pigs to Parliament. Weren't they university students, though, who did that in the
I
past?
don't mention anyone. I just say
Sure.
sometimes the method
Semantics.
you use. Let's go to social media. I was seeing certain things being used for Honorable Matthias Mpuga. Now, the same graphics, the same whatever, we are seeing them being used. Yet by then they were praised by some people. When they were being shown, you'd look at the comment section and you would see how people are reacting. Now, you see, some of the things we introduced at one time, they can work against us.
Well,
So it should be very
one would say that you are pointing at someone, but I will pretend that I don't see it. Good morning, Jerome Paul.
Good morning to you, Monica, and good morning to our dear viewer.
Yes, events occurring today. The president sounded a warning which was
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Indeed, we are here. The time check is 8 minutes past 7 o'clock. I'm Olive Monica Najuma alongside Shirabo Robert Nyonyintono and Chantal Olive Akandinda plus Jerome Paul Sonko right in Studio B. Now today, there is the much anticipated march to Parliament against corruption. Back a few years ago, we also had a march against corruption still within the city. The difference between today's march and that other march that happened a few years ago was that the former The latter was organized by the then State House anti-corruption lead, Colonel Edith Nakalema. And today, the one that is anticipated and hopefully won't happen is the one organized by the youth. Why am I referring to the events of today? The youth have organized, copying something that occurred in Kenya, to march to Parliament in a way to show their frustration against corruption among government officials and government agencies. But the president has sounded a warning and said, if you do have problems and if you feel there is corruption, let's have dialogue. But the youth are against dialogue. So it begs for the question, the fight against corruption in Uganda, is it moving in the right direction or is it not? We've seen members of parliament right now facing cases of corruption. Some were arraigned in court, and we are waiting for what is going to happen henceforth. And we have seen Honorable Theodore Sechikubo, the representative of Rwemiyaga, also seeking for signatures so that they can have some commissioners of parliament out. So one wonders, is this the move to the right direction, or we are just seeing lip service? Has corruption, the fight against corruption, has it been politicized, or we are still on the good track, the same track? And also, do Ugandans understand the dangers and effects of corruption? Do they even understand why, as a country, we need to be against corruption? While lots of money has been put towards the fight against corruption, those are the questions we are exploring today. But if you have any views, you can share them on WhatsApp number 0709602592, and those on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU. We'll be able to get your feedback and share it here with our viewers. Now, starting this conversation, I would like to go to Studio B first. Jerome Paul, you qualify to be a Gen Z, and you see what is happening and the plans they have today. But without even thinking like a Gen Z, or without putting emotions and being objective about this matter, do you feel, I'll start with our poll question for the day, do you feel that the fight against graft in the country is moving in the right direction, or we have politicized the whole thing?
This is out of context. You know, when I heard you start the introduction with Indeed, I told Chantal, you've reminded me of a famous song that has that word of Indeed, something like that. But let me get off the entertainment bit and come back to your question.
Yes.
There's a certain tweet I'm looking for, which was made by David F. Kempanga. This was a tweet that was made quite some time back. He said, "We shall never see the Uganda we want until we develop a central nervous system that enables us to feel each other's pain." And now, when it comes back to the to the question of corruption, I'm going to take this objectively as I can. I think the problem today is that seeing many young people involved in the politics of the country is because many of them are unhappy with what they are seeing that some of their leaders are doing. And when it comes to the current situation of corruption, and of course the president's efforts to put an end to the corruption, and we've also seen some of the members of parliament who are already behind the bars simply because of the corruption cases that they are still facing, or the corruption charges they are facing. This clearly shows you the bigger picture, and it clearly shows you why we have even reached this level of seeing young people wanting to march to parliament, because to them they believe a march to parliament will be a statement to their various representatives in parliament who seem to be playing a deaf ear when they are addressing these issues to them. Because remember, with parliament, this is where members of parliament are, and the members of parliament are always the people who represent the issues and concerns of various constituencies and their constituents this time round want to march to their headquarters to make sure that their voices are heard. And now, when it comes back to, to the question of, whether it is the right thing or not, it is quite a 50-50. Why would I say 50-50? 50% of it can be the right thing if it is done in the right way. Yes. And then 50, if it turns into a violent move, it then ceases to have impact. Because if you want your voices heard, as the government is calling for dialogue, then if the march happens, how are you carrying on with the march? Is it going to be a violent one? And when, let's say, you're given the opportunity to access parliamentary gates, what are you going to do? Are you going to move in parliament, try to, to attack members of parliament? Are you going to, to throw stones at, at parliamentary offices? Or you're going to reach there and make your voices heard? Because these are all, these are all the concerns that the police is actually having today, is that what are they going to do? What are they up to? And, I was also part of a space yesterday where Colonel Edith Nakalema was addressing some of the young people who are on the same space, and she was asking, where are you coming from?
So that question, on that question, I will go to Chantal. When Colonel Edith Nakalema asks a question like, where are you coming from? Are we to assume that the youth do not have a background to this? That probably the question that is corruption in the country has been dealt with to the satisfaction of Ugandans, so much so that she doesn't see why the youth are resorting to this?
So the question, if I may seek clarity, Sonko, the question was addressed to the youth who intend.
Yeah, who are intending to protest today.
Where are you coming from? That's the question. I wouldn't say she does not know what is happening, and I think it's at some point where we have to put certain things out. That sometimes, this is not naming anyone, sometimes our politicians choose to play dumb.
She has been at the forefront of fighting corruption. She has arrested some key individuals. So do you think maybe she thinks... And
maybe, because now I don't really know the context of this question still, much as it was...
Maybe let me throw it back to Sonko.
The context was in relation to, they wanted to know, where are they best? Like, where are these young people going to be coming from to move to parliament? Do they have a political party they are affiliated to? Are they having a base within the capital where they are coming to, where they are sharing ideas? And that was the context of what her question was.
Okay, Chirabo, the fight against corruption. Lots of resources have been geared towards fighting against corruption in Uganda. We have so many anti-corruption agencies in the country. Some have done some good work. I will commend the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, because I believe, and I remember when Colonel Edith Nakalema was at its helm, many big fish were netted, and to a degree justice was served. But do we understand why, as a country, we need to fight corruption? How important is the fight against corruption to Uganda?
Now, I love the fact that you mentioned the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. Now, Uganda, in the fight against corruption, you need the laws, which I must say we have the laws, because when you want them to bite, they have really done so. Today, we have a number of people who have been in the gallows, who have been in Luzida, the likes of Jimmy Ramafa, the likes of the late Teddy Sezi Cheye, prominent lawyer who died, Bob Nisango. We have Jamwa, former NSSF. We have Godfrey Kazinda still struggling there. I don't want to believe that these have been the greatest fools as they are executing corruption. They have also been wise, and they have also applied syndicate. But there was a will to nab them. Now let's agree, have the laws. Second, you talk about institutions. I want to believe we have so many institutions in this country, more than enough, by the way. We don't need to create any more. May I believe we even have more than enough to fight corruption. Now, what are we lacking? What we are lacking is the will to fight corruption. I want to repeat the words you started by speaking about the anti-corruption walk that we had all the way from Constitutional Square up to Kororo.
Yes.
And the late Jacob Olanya mentioned and said these very brilliant words. May his soul rest in peace. He said, Your Excellency, we are all here and gathered in the name of fighting corruption. But after here, we are going to go back and do the same thing. Actually, if you looked in that gathering, because who are the corrupt people in this government, you would find that maybe even some of the corrupt had met for a gathering in this match. Now, what we are lacking is the will to fight corruption. And this is not only in government, but even us as individuals. We lack the will. We are not ready to sacrifice to fight corruption. We have institutions, the people there are not willing. Let me give you a very small, simple example. And I want to give 3 examples, one beginning at family level. Now, when exams are out, primary 7, senior 4, for A level, I don't know. But I want to tell you, I know many parents who say, Kangule chifo in a certain school. Knowing that my child did not score what it takes, but the parent is willing to pay some money for the child to go to that school. How many of us drive on these roads? And you know you're overtaking, and a traffic officer stops you and says, I'm going to give you a ticket, like officer now way. Let's talk about this. You know, that we may say has no impact to government. But if you're not ready to fight that level, how many of us, your friend is arrested over something,
yes,
the first thing is you say, let's get some money to get into Mutasi. We are not saying how many of us, even the few people that have been arrested due to corruption, suspected of corruption. We don't say that Robert Chirawo has been guilty or he's on charges of corruption. Let's ensure we support his family that is going to stay behind. The children go to school, maybe if he's renting a house, it's okay. But let him go and serve the sentence. Do you know what we do? We do all it takes to get him off the hook. And now it becomes a habit that people think of how best. And that is why even when you are praising Kano Edith Nakale, I don't believe in what you said. My reasons, I have them.
That's why I said some
even
big
Kano
fish
Edith Nakale,
were nabbed.
even during her reign at
Yes.
the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. You see, there is what we call excitement. For me, I look at the end of the tunnel, the tail end, not the beginning. We saw ministers sleep in the coolers over the Mabati saga. Yeah? Some were dropped. I want to commend His Excellency. That was a very good gesture. Morally, it was a very good gesture. Now they don't come back to cabinet. But the judicial process takes so long. And at times, Big Guerao
Dies a natural death.
dies a natural death. Then you hear so lost interest. I don't want to mention the offices. Now, even those in the opposition, now let me get to that side. Even those in the opposition that sometimes come out to be fighting corruption, they are doing this for political capital. When you see the methods they are applying, it is for political mileage. The statements they make, political mileage, but not the fact that they are fed up. Look at today's protest, the planned protest, if we say. Now, we all know for sure, have been a number of protests as a journalist. We all know that if you want to create an impact, to see members of parliament get your message, one, you have to be organized. Two, you have to seek attention of the speaker or see a way of coming plenary or something like that. But protests that are not guided, we all know what is going to happen. There's going to be looting.
Robert, I need you to clarify on something. This much anticipated demonstration to Parliament, is it organized by members of the opposition or the Gen Zs in Uganda like it was the case for Kenya?
I want to tell you there's an invisible hand behind this. There's an invisible hand. I saw a tweet by Honorable Mugisha Muntu, when someone was inviting him, I think I better read it because I have it briefly here. I was looking through pages of prominent opposition figures in this country prior to the demonstration. Now, someone comes to him and says, tweets telling him to join them. And the Honorable, thank you for the invitation. No citizen who feels inclined to participate in such a noble cause should wait to be invited. In my life, whenever I feel inclined to act on anything, I just go ahead and act. The Lord be with you. But he says, one struggle, many fronts, aluta continua. When you go to a number of them, I don't see any who was saying that maybe we change approach or something like that. So there is an invisible hand. And well knowing that the demonstrations so far I've seen never yield results but chaos. Finally on this, I'll give you a simple example.
Okay.
We had the Mabila, remember the Mabila riots?
Yes.
I was a young man with a friend of mine had come to see a journalist at UBC. And he told me, find me at Rock Gardens. This was a genuine cause. So I met Frank Mubanguzi, Honorable Beatrice Anywa, Kenny Ruchamuzi. We were young people and we were welcome to sit.
And what happened?
We planned how we are going to carry out this demonstration and how we are going to walk. Now, when we reached are they called Roy Gardens here? The youth that had joined along the way said, we are not taking that direction of the Rere Gardens, then we land around Nakasero. They said we are going in front. In a short time, an Indian was coming on a scooter. They began hitting stones at him. So you cannot make a disorganized group and register results. You register chaos and only have the impact of the chaos.
Well, Robert, I'm going to go to Chantal, but before I do that, there is someone here saying that Robert says a disorganized group. What qualifies an organized group? Because he says, according to him, anything that is pro-government and government officials is rendered disorganized. That's a view coming through. But coming back to you, Chantal, we have anti-corruption agencies like the Inspectorate of Government, and we have even seen the IGG Betty Kami at some point proposing a lifestyle audit for government officials, members of parliament, and we don't know if this ever saw the light of day, but it was in a bid still to fight against corruption. So in your opinion, do you think that these anti-corruption agencies in the country have been effective, or they're just wasting taxpayers' money?
Well, I'll give it to the IGG's office. Ever since Honorable Betty Kami joined that office, I believe she has done her best, or at some point she has done what she could. And we've had money being traced and recovered and stuff like that. And I was reading a report about the same. And Uganda, the total cost of corruption on Uganda is estimated to be about 9.144 trillion Uganda shillings, that is per year. And that is about 44% of our total revenue. 44%. And I'm saying, I'm applauding some of these offices. One, if we have this information, then that means we're making headway, or we're getting somewhere. Some have tried, some have not. But to be honest, the fight against corruption is, aside from the bigger bits that we are seeing in the media, it takes all of us, from the person who pays a traffic officer money to let them go, to someone who pays a kickback, or who pays someone throughout that procurement process in government entities to be able to get that bid, and to the people who are also embezzling money from different projects to be able to satisfy their own selfish needs. It's going to have to cut across if we were to fight corruption. So the agencies can only do so much. But then again, talking about the lifestyle audit, at some point, even the president himself came out and said, if these individuals are not investing anywhere else than investing in our country, maybe we should let them be. So that means there could also be limitations. Some we see, some we do not see, that hinder some of these agencies from fulfilling their mandate when it comes to, the fight against corruption.
Well, thank you, Chantal. Now, Jerome, in the statement the president made on Saturday, he did say that if you want to fight against corruption, then let's have dialogue. Reach out to people like Kano Edith Nakalema so that you have a conversation and we see the way forward. But are these people even accessible for a person, a normal and ordinary Ugandan, to access them and say, you know what, these are the grievances I have as far as corruption is concerned? And also, what does the law say about demonstrations of any nature, especially the peaceful ones?
Well, the peaceful ones are legally accepted by the law. And when it comes to how accessible are the individuals that the president had given to the young people as solutions, the accessibility bit is a bit tricky because, as I mentioned earlier, yesterday, Kano Edith was attending to a Twitter space which had close to 6.5 thousand people. And when she was on the space, many of the young people who had the opportunity to speak via the space had questions for her, which was a point in the right direction, because at least then it showed that they are available and they can listen. And of course, on the same space, you could see there was the US mission in Uganda on the same space. The government of Uganda was also in the same space. Quite a number of government agencies were on the same space. However, some of the young people say that it does seem like they can only be accessible, that some of these people can only be accessible when the young people are really tired and they want to seek out for other solutions. So that is why many were saying that if the dialogues are there, then make accessibility easier. That if at all I want to meet, let's say, Kano Edith Nakalema, if we are a group of, 10 youth leaders, how can we meet? Is it possible for us to meet and share with you, and then, you take action? Because the reason that's why we are having this march, and is because many are trying to, come together and show the government that this is non-violent and this is partyless, because when you look at the taglines around the entire march is that it is partyless, it is nothing to do with a leader, but it's something to do with one common voice.
So what would you say to people like who have the same mindset as Robert, saying that there is an invisible hand, and also the people that believe that in as much as they are saying it's going to be peaceful,
okay,
it will turn into violence at some point? Who turns it into violence?
I really can't say much about the violent part, because me as a person, I feel, why I even said at the start that I have my fingers crossed, is I want to watch and see the space. Because if the people who are behind the march are saying it's going to be non-peaceful, we have no harm, I want to believe what they are saying. Now, when Robert comes out and says that there is an invisible hand of maybe someone who is most probably likely to come in and try to create chaos. We've seen all this happening in quite a number of protests in Uganda. So I think that can also not be ruled out, but I wish it doesn't happen.
Chantal? I can say this, in church, you're likely to have your bag stolen if you're not on the lookout. So what am I trying to say? Much as the intention behind this peaceful protest is a peaceful protest, it does not mean that someone will not seize the opportunity if they see one to loot as they are in such a group. And that is why usually when they're saying peaceful protests, the police is usually supposed to be there to avoid some of those things and maybe arrest the individuals that are out there looting or trying to utilize that opportunity.
But in this case, Chantal, the police has already said this should not take place. They are saying it is illegal, it should not take place.
As I mentioned, yes, the police should be. If it's a peaceful process, ideally police should be in there for the sake of making sure that whoever has plans to root or is suspected to want to do that should be the one arrested, not the individuals who are staying on the course.
Thank you, Chantal. Robert, in just a second, you were shaking your head vigorously, but in 2 seconds, please.
Very unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Yes.
Because one, I want to tell you, for every demonstration or protest, the impact is what you're looking for. Now, in Uganda's history, whenever we've had protests, the impact that causes the change is the violence, is the loss of lives. That is why even many times when protesters, when those with such intentions are told, go to Kololo and hold a rally there, they will deny that. They will tell you, we want to be in the city because that is where the impact is. Someone asked me why I said this disorganized. I want to tell you, brother, thieves, bandits, rebels have a commander, are organized how they're going to execute their mission. Now, when you call upon people from all walks of life to come and move towards parliament, who is your commander? How are you going to be able to regulate who are the people that are coming with you to have a peaceful protest? That's why police came out.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank
you, Robert. Yes.
Olive, lastly,
to be the impact of this.
Yes, Joram.
Lastly, Olive, I'll borrow some words from Kenya. Is that police, please do not tear gas a body.
Do not tear gas a body. Anyway, I'll end with this comment. Samson says, President alone cannot stop corruption in Uganda. It's everyone's responsibility to stop corruption, so they should have allowed peaceful youths to march to parliament. Even some of those who are trying to fight corruption are also corrupt. And the Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makinde says, personally, I might agree with any kind of condemning and fighting corruption because it's a big virus that hinders us to move forward in various aspects of life. But I don't think today's move is really on fighting corruption. Not at all. I see people just acting out of bandwagon after observing what happened in Kenya. I see politics and emotions at play. These people are hiding in the fight against corruption, but with totally different motives. That's why they fail to get all what it takes from the law enforcers, and they are ready to turn violent. Well, we will. Okay, Robert, we will end right over there. But thank you so much for your views. I see many comments coming through. Unfortunately, this is how far we can go. But the conversation continues. You can continue this conversation right on the X app. My name is Olive, and stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the tragic story of the mighty empire of Bunyoro Kitara. Enjoy the story of Africa's mighty warrior Omkama Kabalega in Tuko Pamoja Bunyoro segment.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
When the Bachweze weekend that we see the emergence of all these other kingdoms that were under Bunyoro kingdom. That's Buganda, Bunyoro, Karagwe, Rwanda, Burundi, Nkore.
We are similar people.
And genetically, we are even the same people.
Use that word, pamoja.
Kagadi at URDT Institute on Friday, 2nd August. Hoima Resort Hotel on Saturday, 3rd August. Masindi at Bija Hotel on Sunday, 4th August 2024. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to all our viewers. My good name is Irene Alena Misango, and this is the GME Tourism Express, where we talk about everything that concerns Uganda's tourism. Now, in the country, there is an anticipated protest, a march by the youth to the parliament, where they are marching to the parliament to fight corruption in the country. But I should say that these things, the protests that go on in the country, directly affect the tourism sector. I'm imagining myself as an innocent tourist coming into the country and maybe traversing through Kampala, or probably I slept at Sheraton or Serena, and by the time I walk out of my gate, I'm only seeing a huge bunch of alongside the road. What could come into the mind of such a tourist who comes into the country? But also in this era of the social media, where social media goes so rampant and goes far to very far places, I'm imagining what the tourists that we are planning to come to the country, or maybe those who had already booked their trips to the country, what are they imagining or thinking about coming to the country? I think such things, when they come in, it is such times when the government or the leaders should really give an ear, a listening ear to the Gen Z, to see what are they really saying, so that we come together and talk together, come back to the drawing table together with the leaders and the Gen Z people, to see that we draw conclusions that are not going to bring in instabilities, insecurities, or even fear in the people. Well, that I'm not a politician, but that is what I'm thinking as someone who is in the tourism sector. I feel the government should really come in and see that we come into a peaceful conclusion with the Gen Z, and see that we keep our country safe, so that we continue thriving on this tourism sector that is really bringing in several incomes and earnings into the country. We're going into the travel news today. Last week, Uganda Airlines launched a new routes to Lusaka in Zambia, Harare in Zimbabwe, and Abuja in Nigeria. This is good news because you see that Uganda is becoming interconnected to the rest of Africa. This is going to make businesses easier. Maybe people that are doing businesses in the different countries, it is becoming easier. And the Abuja flights will be, all these flights are going to start in September. Abuja flights will be on Thursday and Sundays, and these are going alongside on the ongoing flights to Lagos. So movements to Nigeria, Zambia, Zimbabwe are becoming easier. But what does it mean to the tourism sector still? This means that we are also able to bring in direct flights from Zambia, from Zimbabwe, from Nigeria. So I think there is more efforts that are needed by the Uganda Tourism Board and also the Ministry of Tourism to see that now we start marketing our attractions, the gorillas, the wildlife, to these countries where we have direct flights, because it becomes easier for one to fly from Zambia to Uganda to see the gorillas. It becomes easier for one to fly from Nigeria to Uganda to see these gorillas. So I think we need to put more effort in these countries where we have direct flights. Talk about Mumbai, that was also recently launched. Talk about Dubai. So countries that have direct flights to Uganda, we should put in more efforts there to see that we market the beautiful and unique aspects that we have in the country, so that we attract them to come to Uganda, since the transportation is really becoming easier and more convenient for all the tourists coming into the country. And that is a plus for the Uganda Airlines. Thank you so much to the management. Now, going into the attraction today, it is also rare when it gets to Uganda's tourism. We have so many unique species. We have so many unique attractions that you would definitely become. Uganda never ceases to amaze all the time. You'll be shocked and surprised by the beauty or uniqueness that we have in the country. And today we are going straight to Nakasongola district, that is Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary. Now this place is underrated. Its beauty is underrated because most cases it is used as an en route destination. As people are going to Murchison Falls, people stop by to see the, pass by Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary to see the rhinos, but the place is intensely beautiful and a lot happens in this place. Now when we talk about Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary, this is the only place in Uganda where you're going to be able to spot the southern white rhinos in their natural setting, in their wild habitats. Another place where you can see these southern rhinos, it is in Uwek, that is the Uganda Zoo, the Entebbe Zoo, but here they are in a zoo. But if you want to see the rhinos in their wild habitats, you go to Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary. The bit about this place, it is that it is very close to Kampala. It is in Nakasongola district. That is about 1 hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours drive from Kampala, that you can even just do a morning or an afternoon to this place and go see the rhinos. Now rhinos are one of the largest land mammals in the world. So when you talk about land mammals, the huge land mammals, rhinos come either in the first place or second place after the elephants. And when we talk about the big five, the rhinos directly fall in the big five. So there is no way that you should miss spotting out some of the big five species. You remember that the other four species, the big five species, the four species are in all the national parks of the country, but the rhinos are not yet in the national parks because they were extinct in the country, and by the way they are very endangered. So this place, Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary, was set up to see that we reintroduce rhinos in Uganda, white rhinos in Uganda. So this place is used for breeding. However, it is allowing the public to also come and engage and see these white rhinos. Nothing is memorable or mesmerizing as watching these majestic rhinos, very huge, walking majestically in their natural habitats. They're so peaceful, they're very peaceful animals. They weigh up to 350 tons, but I'm telling you, they can run faster than any human being. So if you're in the sanctuary, please make sure that you listen to the briefing from the rangers, listen to the guidelines so that they ensure your safety in the sanctuary. Well, if you're planning to go to the sanctuary, the entrance fees are very cheap, are very affordable. The entrance fees is 10,000 for every Ugandan, and trekking is only 30,000 shillings. So Ugandans, there is no way or reason why you should not go to Ziwa Rhino Sanctuary. Well, that is it that we had for you for the travel tip. Unfortunately, I could go on and on talking about the sanctuary, but because of time, I'll straight go into the travel tip of the day. And the travel tip is still, today we are not giving you a tip to keep on your fingertips, but today we are giving you the rates for Murchison Falls National Park, because so many Ugandans are planning to do even self-drives to these parks. From according to Honorable Bahinduka Mugara, the State Minister of Tourism, said that the numbers for the domestic tourists into the national parks are increasing. So the rates for for Murchison Falls National Park are quite affordable. The entrance fees for Ugandans, it is just 30,000 shillings. East African citizens, 30,000 Ugandan shillings. So if you're planning to go to Murchison Falls, it is very affordable for you. Please note that it is just 30,000 Ugandan shillings for any Ugandan to access Murchison Falls National Park. That is it that we had for you today. My name is Irene Alena Misango, and Joan Paul Sonko is here for the business update.
Well, good morning, Uganda, and thank you very much for sticking around to the show this very morning. I'm here to also remind you that we do have a team around the parliamentary avenue and around Parliament as well. So as we are moving, or as we are proceeding with the show this very morning, we shall be giving you all the updates as they are happening within the capital, especially in regards to the fact that we have a group of young people who are expected to march to Parliament today in a protest geared towards putting an end to corruption. And of course, we shall be giving you the updates like I did mention, but now it is time for me to give you details coming in from the world of business. So sit back, let's get right onto the money because the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has launched a transformative initiative. Now, this is geared to empower women in Butambala and the neighboring districts. This is through the GROW project that aims at supporting women in business to create employment opportunities and generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises, which is GROW, is a project and a government of Uganda initiative aimed at empowering women in business or businesses owned by women or women businesses, and also to help them sustain their self-employment and even create more jobs for the other women or even the young people. Now, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development extended this project to Butambala and the neighboring districts, and a sum of 200,000 Ugandan shillings can now be borrowed by women in business, according to Frederick Nabimba from the Private Sector Foundation. Now, the launch of the project in Butambala was graced over by Aisha Kabanda of Butambala District, who is the Deputy RDC Butambala, and Butambala District Women Member of Parliament, and then the Deputy RDC Butambala, Katuzanya Kavuma, was also among the guest speakers, where he underscored the need for stringent monitoring methods to curb corruption and ensure it achieves its goals. Now, the GROW project, like I mentioned, is a government project which is aimed at empowering women in business. And of course, we've seen so many women in business over the years, and especially women in the small enterprises, small and medium enterprises, where many who have got the opportunity to expand their businesses to the medium enterprises, but many are still in the cohort of small businesses. And this is where, with the GROW project now, for those in Butambala, they can easily get a loan of 200,000 Ugandan shillings add to their business. One may say that is not too much money, but for the small businesses, and it depending on what someone is doing at the time, it can add something onto the business capital and pretty much keep your business afloat. And these are more efforts to ensure that women get what to do, and to also enable many of the mothers of this nation to get or tap into the money economy. Now, elsewhere, we head to the border business, and there is a demonstration still amongst the border riders or groups of the border industry in Uganda. Now, over the years, the border industry has been facing various issues in regards to regulation, in regards to leadership, and many of these issues or problems have denied many of the border players to pretty much benefit or gain from their craft. And meanwhile, when you look at a section of the border traders who are still having grievances now in Kampala, the border leaders in Kampala Metropolitan have continued to warn mainly their riders who will take part in today's protest, that is the anti-corruption march protest. They addressed the media, where leaders announced putting collaborators to closely work with security agencies to monitor the situation as it continues. And this 23rd of July, the anti-corruption march to Parliament by concerned Ugandans has been the talk of town since the start of this very month. Now, however, a section of the border operators, one of those sectors expected to head to the call, have distanced themselves from this march, saying they are not part of it and they will not be pushing for any sort of demonstration. Now, while addressing the media on Monday in Kampala, the Kampala Metropolitan border operators under their union warned taking tough actions against any rider who belongs to their union and is part of this very match. So they will take stringent action to penalize their border riders that will be part of the match today. Now, under this line, they have deployed manpower that is likely to work with the security operatives to monitor and document any defiant rider in the metropolitan area, so that they face punishment from the union and maybe the security personnel. Now, although the initiators of the July march to Parliament haven't dropped their intention by by yesterday, police has entirely halted the process and want to respond with reasonable force to crack down the Tuesday demonstrators. And if at all you've not yet come to town, by the way, for those of you who are having intentions to head to Parliament, at least you've been able to notice some pictures on social media of police that has already been deployed. And also close to Parliament, roadblocks have also been observed. So move knowing that there will also be some traffic disruptions, especially for those that are driving their way to the city to make some money this Tuesday. Well, speaking of making money, let's make some currencies, because we now focus on the Forex update to see how various currencies have been faring on the exchange. The US dollar by opening time yesterday was buying at 3,689.09 while selling at 3,699.09. By midday, buying was 3,689.05 while selling was 3,699.05. Closing time saw the US dollar buy at 3,689.27 while selling was 3,699.27. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,763.95 while selling at 4,776.86, and the euro was buying at 4,015.77 while selling at 4,026.65. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.10 while selling at 28.18, as the Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.37 while selling at 1.37. The South African rand was buying at 201.73 while selling at 202.27. Anyways, that said, Chantal Oliver Kandinda is now here with the traffic updates. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest from business. Good morning.
Good morning once again, and thank you for staying with us. It's time for us to see how traffic is happening in Kampala. But first, we're going to be checking what is happening around Parliamentary Avenue, because according to what I can see here, if you are on the sides of Kampala Road and probably trying to connect to Parliamentary Avenue or the side of Ministry of Education and Sports, there is a lot of traffic. But as you can see from that video right there on your screen, that is just above here on Nile Avenue, and you're trying to now connect to Parliamentary Avenue. That is how traffic is faring. Now that is the roundabout just up here. Everything seems to be safe, but as you can see, that road has been closed off as you are now trying to connect, trying to go to the side that has Peak Road, the side that the side that also continues, that could lead you to a part of Parliament, has been closed off, as you can see. So if you're usually using that route, you might not be able to cross through, so you might have to use an alternative route. And the same applies for the other parts of Parliamentary Avenue that seem to be closed off now. If you use that side, if you walk from that side, you might want to first find out if indeed you can use those roads to go there. But for now, some of those roads are closed out. So brace yourself. Today is going to have some bit of traffic, and we do not know what is going to happen as time goes by. But if you can't stay out of town for today, or even in the very beginning, then you might have to. As you can see, that is along Parliamentary Avenue. Still, there is traffic. Not just slow movement this time around, but there is traffic, as you can see. So one, if you needed to be at office earlier, I suggest you communicate that you will not be making it in time. That is Nile Avenue, as you can see, and that is what is happening. So communicate in time that you are stuck in traffic. But I also would say, someone would say you should have moved earlier, but then again, that is what is happening at the moment. Now, as we check other parts of town that you might be able to use or to make your way to work, Kampala Road is mad with some traffic, as I see right here, and that is for those who are going to town. Those who are coming from town, you're actually okay, nothing to worry about. Now, when you look at Ginger Road side, there is traffic already at the moment at the Ginger Road lights. As you can see, there is traffic. Now, if you're connecting to Yusuf Ulule Road, definitely there is traffic. And as I earlier on told you, Nile Avenue is mad with a lot of traffic. It's too much. It's mad with a lot of traffic. It's too much, as I earlier on mentioned. And as you're trying to still make your way to town, again, if you use Parliamentary Avenue, like I mentioned, there is a lot of traffic. So if you have another place you can use, or if you can park your car and be able to move, please make sure. But I also recommend that you move with your national ID, and please do not look like you are protesting, because anything can happen if you seem to look like someone who is protesting. Now, Ginger Road also is mad with a lot of traffic. Now, the Wampeo Clock Tower also has a lot of traffic. Old Port Bear Road, if you are exiting the roundabout or exiting the Wampeo Clock Tower to join Old Port Bear Road, you are headed for some good traffic, so brace yourself for that. Also, Wampeo Avenue is mad with a lot of traffic, especially if you are on the side that is headed towards the Wampeo Clock Tower. If you are exiting the Clock Tower onto Wampeo Avenue, you will find slow movement, but later on you will be okay to move. As you move inside there, everything seems to be safe. If you are continuing to Lower Kololo Terrace, you're safe to use that route. Upper Kololo Terrace, still the other side that has the lights, you'll be finding just a bit of traffic, especially for you who is joining that junction. But after that, you'll be finding no traffic whatsoever, as you can see now. In there, the different access routes actually seem to be okay. And if you are onto the Acacia Avenue or the John Babiha Road, you'll be finding no traffic at the moment whatsoever. But again, if you are planning on using Nile Avenue, Parliamentary Avenue, there is a lot of traffic. And this is definitely because Parliamentary Avenue and Nile Avenue are close to each other, and definitely they lead to one another, and you'll be finding a lot of traffic. I recommend you avoid those routes if you can. Mabua Road as well has no traffic at all. And if you are also using Chira Road, there is no traffic at the moment. But also do note that some people could have moved earlier, like some of us who moved at 5, we found cars actually already too many on the road, and probably they were trying to dodge traffic as well. So if you are someone that is going to be using Mawanda Road, it is mad with a lot of traffic as well. Tafno Drive is safe for you to use. And that's it for our traffic updates this morning. So we'll be keeping you updated, as we have a team that is already at Parliament trying to get every detail as it takes place. So do stay with us. Every detail will be served to you. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by can now get all the chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Radio 7 masindika bulijjo egenda kuchanganya emyaka esatu mu nsike nga 3.8 mu kisaawe ky'emasindi anti Lwatamabaale Lwatamabaale sobodonkole nga bulijjo nga bwokimanyi ebyokulya n'ebyokunywa byonna bya bwerere ate tekuletedde abayimbi abamanyi Eddie Kenzo ne Big Talent yonna lukoba ku lukoba kugasa n'abayimbi b'emunyolo bonna tutandika ku makya tukigalewo ku makya g'enkeera okuyingira mu mutwalo gumu gwokka jangu onyenyegali b'enjole mu Lwatamabaale anti nga Radio 7 ejaganya emyaka 3 mu kisaawe e Masindi nga 3.8 tusookawo n'ebyemizannyo omuli omupiira okubaka okudduka nga biwagiddwa Balam Sounds by 2 Group.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the tragic story of the mighty empire of Bunyoro Kitara. Enjoy the story of Africa's mighty warrior Omkama Kabalega in Tuko Pamoja Bunyoro segment.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
When the Bachweze weekend that we see the emergence of all these other kingdoms that were under Bunyoro Kingdom. That's Uganda, Bunyoro, Karagwe, Rwanda, Burundi, Nkore.
We are similar people.
And genetically we are even the same people.
Use that word pamoja.
Kagadi at URDT Institute on Friday 2nd August. Hoima Resort Hotel on Saturday 3rd August. Masindi at Bija Hotel on Sunday 4th August 2024. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Doi Silva, nze ndi musisi wa chapati wano zone 7 nini factory zone na Tete. Capital yali ntono nnyo nga teweze na mutwale 3. Kati sawa zino inafuna sente za PDM. Sente kati business egaziye muko katontono. Lwakola sumbusa mandazi kati byonna biwede nsiga za chapati. Edanga sinafuna sente nali nsevinganga 12 13 naye naku zino nsevingako 15. Olusi nsevinga ne kanana nga maze okusasula bwenkozesa ndenyumiriza mu nnyo lwakuba ekyusizako bulamu bwange. Kati we nafuna agenda nengula akawo nengulayo ngano nengula buto nengula amagi nengula ne omunyo nengula ebirala byenkozesa kale bingi enagulamu era byanyamba nakyusa bulamu mpola mpola era waliwo enkyukakyuka nnyo nali sisobola kusasulira fees abaana naye saawa zino mbasasulira kati bali ku ssomero basoma ne gyensula nayo nsasulayo bulungi kati landlord tamaanyi takonkona ngenda ne musasulako mu budde nga tanamanja ne wano wenyini wenkolera era mukazi naye musasula neyanzisa nnyo gavumenti okumpa sente ezo ba PDM nange abavubuka mbakubiriza mugende bya PDM si bya bulimba waliwo abasinga bagamba tino ebyo sente bya bulimba tebagaba tebakyagaba sente gavumenti amasa sente we batyo biki naye nga mbakakasa abavubuka banange sente bya ddala bagaba nze nalabako.
Amannya gange mpitibwa Busulwa Najibu nga nva mu Factory Zone Natete Parish. Business ya mukstoka nali sina kapito kati yali omutono ebintu nga bye byalinnya newe nafuna chairman wange era mwebaza nnyo yansanga waniranga bwendi nampandika nambuza ekibuzo nti onosobola okuzzayo sente za parish modo nti mbadde nsaba kuwandiika oli musajja mukozi nengamba chairman nja kusobola chairman yo nentambula naye netugenda mu nkungaana ezasooka mbandi eyo bannange be nagenda nabo ne bampa obukulembeze mu kusooka bukiiko bwasooka wansi enzija bwentyo nga bannyongera obukiiko mpolampola okutuuka we tutuuse wano okutuuka lwe nafuna ssente nennyongeramu ebitono by'essaayina era nnyinako business wange obuwero akatali kano atali kamu si wano wokka kuba parish za njawulo ewamu bisobola okugaana neŋŋamba kati kano kenfunyeeyo kaŋŋende nkoleki kaŋŋende nkolemu ekirala naye nga sike kano kokka kano jasi nayongeramu bwongezi ayina akatini nennyongeramu ekifuuka ekinene nenyo atayina kapito ku dduuka nalenja ebintu bya bbanja.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Now, today we are going to be discussing something very important that has affected the destiny or future of so many young persons in this country, either legally or illegally. Now, the panel I have will prove, is this illegal or legal? Join me, welcome Frank Gashumba, who comes from the Bavandimwe community. Most welcome to the show.
Good morning.
And just next to me, I have the spokesperson, Minister of Internal Affairs and Immigration, Simon Mondei. You're most welcome.
Good morning, Robert, and good morning, our viewers.
And as you have seen, my panel will be discussing the marginalization of some ethnic groups in Uganda who qualifies to have a passport of Uganda, because this is where we've seen a lot of pressure coming in, more so from those that are affected. Now, I want to begin with the spokesperson, Minister of Internal Affairs. Simon, we've seen on social media, in the papers, the Banyarwanda. Now, more so, those called Bavandimwe, a term later Frank Gashumba will be explaining, expressing concern that we are eligible, we qualify for passports, but we do not get the passports. So from your perspective, who qualifies to get a Ugandan passport? To begin with that.
Thank you very much, Robert, and our viewers out there. Thank you for having me this morning, and I'm glad to be here interfacing with my brother, Frank. I think we, starting yesterday, we shall be with him, we shall be moving with him from TV station to another, and then from one radio station to another, to try to enlighten our people out there. Today's topic, marginalization of some ethnic, I am not in agreement with the way you have set it. Marginalizing some ethnic groupings in Uganda, I don't agree with that. Now, but let me begin like this. Of course, we have had the issues with communities, especially because, as you know, Uganda is surrounded by various communities. We have Kakwa in the north, we have Gisu in the east, we have Samia also in the east, we have Kenyi. All these people are, they share boundaries. They are in the other country, and another group is in this country. But the problem of Rwandese and generally Rwanda is a little special. Why? Because for as long as we have a country called Rwanda, and also we have a group or ethnic grouping in our constitution known as Banyarwanda, there will always be confusion. So the confusion has been that we have been receiving groups of people who come to Uganda, even those who came yesterday. Then we have groups referred to in the constitution of the Banyarwanda, who are referred to in the third schedule of the constitution among the 65 tribes or ethnic groupings. These are the Banyarwanda who were found within the boundaries of Uganda by 1st February 1926. That's what the constitution refers to. Now, these are the ones, when the colonialists demarcated the borders, that was 1926, 1st Feb, whoever was found within the boundaries of Uganda was taken to be a citizen of Uganda. Now, those are the ones we refer to as Banyarwanda. Now, group in the constitution. Now, there are those who came in the 90s, those who came in 2000, those who came in yesterday, those who came in the other day. Assuming you are an immigration officer seated at the ministry issuing passports or indeed processing passports, somebody arrives at your desk and you ask questions, of course, because passports must be given to the citizens of Uganda as prescribed in the Immigration Act and in the Constitution of Uganda. Only citizens of Uganda qualify to get passports. So somebody here comes before you, Chirabo, or before Frank, and says, you know, me, I am so and so, I am a Munyarwanda. What rings in your mind first? First of all, you will have to do some due diligence. You will have to differentiate between, is this the Munyarwanda in the constitution, or is this the Rwandan who is just coming from the other place? Is he the one the constitution is referring to, or is the one who just came in yesterday? So you have got to do some due diligence by asking a number of questions. Some of these questions taken as arrogance by our officers in passport office. Question like, who is your father? Who is your mother? Of course, the constitution says a citizen of Uganda is that person. You read the law there. Read the citizen of Uganda.
Starting from here.
Yes.
Every person born in Uganda, one of whose parents or grandparents is or was a member of any of the indigenous communities existing and residing within the borders of Uganda as at the first day of February 1962 and set out in the third schedule of this constitution.
Thank you. Stop there. There's a second one, but we can now explain this one. The constitution says every person whose parent or one of whose parents belongs to the ethnic groupings that was within the boundaries of Uganda, or within the groupings that are set out in the third schedule. They are there. You can read them. Open the third schedule.
It is the third schedule.
Let me open for you. They are here. We have got. Okay, they are here.
Now we have Acholi,
yeah,
Aliba, Aru, Aringa, Bamba, Bakusu, Bakwesi, Bafumbira, Baganda, Bagisu, Bagungu, Bagwe, Bagwere, Bahehe, Bahororo, but there are so many, 65.
Okay.
Yes, we can't.
I can see the Banyarwanda are in the schedule, they are number 24, this group, Banyarwanda. These are the ones they are referring to, whose parents belong to this group, found within the boundaries of Uganda in 1926, as of February 1st. Now, the problem we are having, because we can discuss all these
yes,
things,
definitely.
The problem we are having is we're having problems with especially young people born in the year 1990, 2000, 2010, those ones. They cannot come to immigration to ask for passports and explain their origins. Somebody comes, you ask, who is your father? Somebody tells you, I don't know. Who is your mother? They died. They all died. As an immigration officer, you have got to dig deeper. This is the reason why we send out these people to bring a relative, an auntie, an uncle. We try to get information so that we can base on to give this person a passport. We are not really sadists at the passport office where we hate Banyarwanda like.
Let me just bring in at that point with that good explanation and definition of who qualifies. Let me bring in Frank Gashumba because he has been everywhere voicing these uncertainties. Frank Gashumba, according to Simon, is that you cannot define who you are. You're failing to give enough information for these officers to do their work according to the Constitution of Uganda.
Now, I agree with Simon 100%. The framers of the 1995 Constitution, it was very okay to have Banyarwanda in the Constitution of Uganda, but it's called the nomenclature, the name they used. You cannot say you're Munyarwanda and there's a country called Rwanda. It confuses everyone, apart from the few, the Gashumbas and the rest. Because there were elections at the Rwandan embassy in Kampala, but people were confusing it. It was Rwandans who participated in those elections. But social media outlets were saying Banyarwanda participated in the election. And you don't blame them, because also citizens of Rwanda are called Banyarwanda. So look at the immigration officer. Someone comes before him or her, and he says, I'm a Munyarwanda. The first thing the first thing that comes into their mind is very simple. Are you a Ugandan or a Rwandan?
Yes.
That's how we suggested. We've had countless interactions with officials from the Ministry of Immigration, sorry, from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Let me take you back. This crisis, I think, started in 2017. In 2013, we had a meeting with the President of Uganda before the issuance of these national IDs. And he said the moment these national IDs are issued, everything will be sorted out. And trust me, if there is any successful projects in Uganda that this government has executed, is the national ID project. Because a national ID now has become a necessity in our lives. So 2017, our people were being denied the national IDs and the passport. We said, what's happening? Then there was a crisis between Rwanda and Uganda. I think it was 2019 up to 2022. Trust me, chances were high that if you applied a passport and you're Munyarwanda, chances were 99% they would be denied a passport. One reason, security agencies were giving excuses that Rwandans are acquiring our passports. But we said, yes, it's very important that we protect our passport, we protect our national ID. There I agree with the government of Uganda. We should do each and everything to make sure that no foreigner ever get hold of our national ID or a passport. A foreigner can come here and get a driving permit. That one is okay. So the president guided. We had a meeting with him in State House Entebbe. He guided. Now that there's a crisis between Rwanda and Uganda, my innocent Ugandans should not pay a price because of that. I remember him saying that. My innocent Ugandans should not pay a price for that. We agreed, and he guided. If anyone of you is traveling, give yourselves at least 3 months in advance so that you can process your passport. We went out on radio, TV, told our people that, for example, if you are traveling in November, make sure that three months in advance, you start processing your passport. And he guided again that if you're applying for a passport, make sure that you get a letter from the LC1 up to LC5, LC1, LC2, LC3, GISO, DISO, and RDC, to certify that an applicant called Ntaganda Joseph is a son of Mr. Frank Gashumba of Villa Maria, Masaka district. Additional to that, let a senior citizen of that area also confirm that I know that person happens to be a son of blah, blah, blah. Before we left the State House, I received a phone call from then the Minister of Internal Affairs, General J.J. Odong, that he has instructions from the President that we should meet him. We went to Minister of Internal Affairs. We sat with all the top guns of Minister of Internal Affairs. We agreed on terms how we are going to proceed. It worked for like 3 months. After 3 months, they abandoned it. So the point I'm trying to bring out is very simple. Yes, there are Rwandans who would want to acquire our national IDs and passports, but that should not hinder a genuine Munyarwanda in Uganda from acquiring a national ID or a passport. That's why the president brought in administrative measures. Yes, he's very right. The Constitution of Uganda says you can only be a Ugandan if you belong to the below ethnic groups that existed in Uganda before 1926. But when it reaches Banyarwanda, they go under the carpet. They go to your lineage. Can you prove when your parents migrate, how your parents have lived in Uganda before 1926? It only applies to Banyarwanda. I bet my hand, I'm seated here with Simon. Simon cannot prove with the documents that his parents were in Uganda before 1926. Even if he brings the documents, we have to subject them to a forensic audit. If he says my grandfather was called, let's say, Peter Mondei, is he the Peter Mondei? You get it? So it's very confusing. So as Council for Abavandimwe, we decided to go, we are going to the Constitutional Court so that it pronounces itself. Because as I'm seated here, there are young girls and young boys who have no jobs in Uganda, and they have secured jobs in the Middle East where they can earn a living.
Now, Frank, why do you prefer to go to a constitutional court, yet this is an issue of the law and you would push for an amendment in Parliament?
Let me tell you, the laws all over the world, no lawyer should come here and deceive you that he knows the law. If there is something that is very confusing that is being contested, you go to the Constitutional Court so that it pronounces itself. The Constitutional Court, I think it has at least 5 judges. We want the Constitutional Court to pronounce itself. Why is it that when it goes to, why is it that immigration officials, when they go to Banyarwanda, they tell them to prove that they were in Uganda before 1926? That does not apply to Basoga, it does not apply to Baganda, it does not apply to Banyankole or Batori. It only applies to Banyarwanda. That's why we are going to the Constitutional Court. Because, my brother, there is no office in Uganda that we've not been to. We've been everywhere, and every lawyer tells us, even friends who happen to be officials at the immigration, even some judges who are friends, they are telling us, you have only one remedy, go to the Constitutional Court so that it pronounces itself.
Okay, well, I'll be coming back to Simon and we get to know why do you have to ask for documents that you really know it is impossible to have them. Even if you asked me to prove if my parents were in Uganda.
Nobody can do that.
I bet. Anyone.
No, the Balangira of Uganda.
Maybe the Balangira. But let's first go and see what is happening on the streets of Kampala ahead of the much anticipated protest in the fight against corruption. Sonko is already there. Let's take a look at this. Well, that is what is transpiring. So far, we can see there's a lot of jam and security is very tight. If you're attempting to take any of those direction, that is Joram Paul Sonko, just outside UBC. Let's listen to Sonko.
The access
route to Parliament that is close to Stanbic Bank and UBC. Now, these are images of what is happening because there is some bits of traffic disruptions. There are new routes that have been designed by the traffic police and of course other security operatives on ground. Now, as you can see, for those who are trying to access Nile Avenue coming in from Garden City or the same route that houses Kingdom Kampala, you can easily see that it is now a one-way route, because the same route that is close to the Kampala Serena Hotel is the same route that is open to vehicles trying to access the Kampala city center via Nile Avenue. Now, what I've been told by some of the officers under control here on ground is that the only people who are allowed to access where you're easily seeing these roadblocks, or to get past via the roadblocks, are people or individuals or employees attached to the various ministries that work close to the parliamentary building. That is inclusive of the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Prime Minister, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, then also those who work at the Ministry of Education. That is also for the people who work with the Lands Ministry, and then also those who work at Parliament. And of course, for you to access any of these routes that have road blockages, is you have to present a work ID or an identity card that probably identifies you as an employee to any attached ministry that is working close to the parliamentary avenue. Now, remember, all of this is coming into context basing on what we've been having for the past few weeks on social media in relation to the 23rd March to Parliament protests that are highly anticipated to be happening today. We do not have a kickoff time for when these protests will be gearing up, but with the deployment that you can easily see on your screen, this is just maybe a picture of what is on the Nile Avenue street. Now, this empty stretch that you're seeing is where you have to have an ID that presents you as an individual that works for either the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Prime Minister, if at all you also work for the Uganda Bureau of Statistics or other offices that are attached to government or ministries or government agencies, and you are an employee who is expected to be at work by this time. Apart from that, you are not allowed to access this route. And of course, as you can easily see, I don't know if my camera person can as well try to give you a 360 feel and take you directly behind him to see the kind of traffic situation that we are currently having. Because according to the traffic flow, for those who are going to be using the Nile Avenue route, you can easily expect some few bits of disruptions. And what you're seeing now is some bit of heavy deployment, part of the heavy deployment of the Uganda police, of course being supported by the traffic police in Uganda, that are ensuring that today there is less chaos whatsoever. Now, from that same route, for the vehicles that you're seeing that are accessing that route that you're seeing on the screen, are either employees of the Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Education, or other offices attached there, because there are some banks as well. And you can also notice that not only are the banks in place, but we also have other offices there. But you can only access the same route if at all you have a work ID that will grant you to pass there. And of course, at the backdrop of everything, like I mentioned, what we are having today is there is a high expectations of having the Gen Zs of Uganda marching to Parliament. Protests that do not have pretty much headquarters of where they are going to be kicking off from. But what we do know so far, according to the plans and what the police have in their mind, is that there is high expectations of protests that will be led by a group of people heading to Parliament to protest against corruption. So it's more like the anti-corruption protest. But this particular one led by the citizens, not a party sort of, build-up, but it's something that many of the young people feel they have to come together and put one voice against the corrupt officials that they believe are putting the country behind. But of course, to ensure that there is peace and less chaos, you can easily see the diversions that have been laid by the traffic police and also the other security operatives here to ensure that we do not have continuous protests in the capital today. Because when you look at a precedent that has been set over the years with the protests that we've been having here in the country, many of them have led to destruction of property. Quite a number of scores have been counted dead over the years. Besides that, also, we've collectively seen a number of arrests as well. So we do not know if by close of business today it will be the case. But when you follow the trends on social media, you get to realize that the young people are not really happy with whatsoever is happening, and they feel they want to attack Parliament. They feel they want to have their voices heard. They feel they need to question their various members of Parliament to give them answers to whatever is happening today. And of course, you get to realize that it is something that we are trying to give you a build up to, and along the way today, for the entire broadcast, our live broadcast, we shall be giving you feed of what will be happening on ground, and then also to try to put you in proper context on where the march is going to start from, if at all it does happen, and also to where it will be heading to. But what we do know so far that if it starts now, the main aim is heading to Parliament or to the parliamentary buildings, because this is where the entire tagline is about: march to Parliament on the 23rd. And if you're to also look back at some of the activities that have been happening that have led to this a few weeks back in Kenya, the young people or the Gen Zs were also marching to Parliament in Kenya. We saw whatever was happening for those who are following the international media platforms as well. But here in Uganda, it does seem like it is the same thing that the young people want to achieve, with the same similar results and with the same intention. The question is, however, will this be possible? Because with the deployment that we are seeing on the streets now, especially around the Parliamentary Avenue, Nile Avenue, and the closest bits to Parliament, it may not be the same. Because with the ongoing kind of situation, and please do not, with my kind of observation so far, is that every vehicle that is trying to access the roadblocks, there are some questions that are being asked by the police officers and the traffic officers, trying to understand what the intentions of some of the people who are moving are having today. So we do not want to have the police operatives, just as the police issued a statement yesterday that this will not go on as planned, because they do have information coming in that there are people who have actually led or who are actually leading to these exact protests, and that they may seem to be driving
Sonko at Nile Avenue, giving you a feel of what is happening as the youth in Uganda are planning to have a demonstration, and their destiny is Parliament, to express their dissatisfaction with what is happening in the fight against corruption. I am back in studios with Frank Gashumba, Amuvandimwe, and the spokesperson of Ministry for Internal Affairs and Immigration, Simon Monday. Now, before we went to have a glimpse of what is happening on the streets, more so around Parliament, the big question was the proof you demand. Yes, we know there could be some sections of the law that are not very friendly, but then why do you demand for the impossible, Simon?
Thank you, Robert. First of all, I want to thank Frank. I have been severally telling him and supporting him on the issue of changing the name of the Banyarwanda living here from Banyarwanda to Bavandimwe. Because the fact that we have Banyarwanda in the constitution of Uganda, and also we have a country called Rwanda.
And they are citizens?
Yes, Banyarwanda. There will always be that confusion. And like I was telling you, an immigration officer seated at passport office, just sympathize with this officer. This young officer seated there with this constitution, with an immigration act, who is the one supposed to implement this act? For us, we are implementers of the law. This law was enacted in Parliament. They framed it in 1995 in the Constitution. Now, we do not have powers as a ministry, as passport office to amend the law. Of course, we sympathize with our sisters and brothers who belong to that group of people who come for passports. I have people I went to school with. They are Banyarwanda, the others are Samias from the other side, but they have been here, they have lived here, they have grown here, they have done everything here. They have even never crossed to Rwanda. Everything has been done here. So, the law is the problem. Somebody comes and you ask the person, go and apply for a passport in Rwanda. He has never he doesn't know even the direction of Rwanda, some of them, especially these ones who are born in the 2000s, 2010, they even don't know. Somebody will be even, we might even call you mad. That's why we get issues. Some of these come when we read the law to them, they look at immigration officers as people who don't understand their problem. So they become arrogant, they start abusing immigration officers, and that's where the problem is. So, I have been asking Frank severally to, now that he's talking of Constitutional Court and maybe Parliament, I think that is the right direction for him to take. Instead of coming down to the passport office and actually holding a shouting match with these immigration officers.
Simon, it's not a shouting match.
Yes. Because these are implementing the law.
No. Some of them are using the law to discriminate our people.
Frank, first, when you talk about the issue of Bavandimwe,
let's just
finish
get this, my brother. You invited me here.
You can go ahead. Please go ahead.
My brother, we are not on showbiz here. These are serious matters.
No doubt about it.
Look at a young girl whose parents have lived in Uganda for the last 50 years, whose grandparents were buried in Uganda. She applies for a passport, not to go to Cape Town or Dubai for holiday, to go for green pastures in Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia. You get it? She goes on and she applies for a passport. She pays 250,000 Uganda shillings. She's told, we need to see your parents. She brings them. After bringing her parents, we need to see your grandparents. Luckily enough, if they are still alive, she brings them. After bringing them, she's told to bring documents from LC1 up to LC5. She produces them. After producing them, she's told to bring graduated tax in case she was in Uganda. She brings them. And she's told, you are not a Ugandan, go and naturalize. Simon, take it from me. Some of your junior officers are mistreating our people. And I know it. Some of them hate our people beyond repair. I know they are good people at the immigration, and they are bad apples. What do you expect this young boy to do, young girl? What do you expect Gashumba to bring you flowers at the immigration? Surprisingly, these people that are being denied passports and national IDs, they have been participating in elections for the last 30 years. Why is it that during elections we are Ugandans? After elections we cease to be Ugandans? Let Simon answer me. During elections we are allowed to vote. Do we allow foreigners to participate in the elections of Uganda?
Foreigners not participate?
Yes, then how do we vote? How do we vote?
We have been having issues.
Okay, please do.
One of the biggest problems started when we were issuing national IDs. In 2014, that's when we started issuing national IDs. Now, mistakes were made. I remember I was one of those who was asked to lead the team to Northeast, that is Karamoja and those areas. So I remember one time we went to a radio station to call the people. That was the time of Aronda.
Because the slow response.
Yes.
Yes.
But I tell you, people abused us on that show. I will never forget.
I agree.
Yes, they said that you are registering us to take our cows, you know, Karamoja. We shall not allow. We, out of the projected around, I think we had projected to register about, I think 100,000 people for national IDs. We did not even register 10,000. So we were, yes, we were just persuading these people. We were pleading to them. They thought it was a joke. They thought, now, whoever would come on our desk to register for national ID would be registered. That time, there was no database to compare the information. So whoever came would tell you anything. I am called Robert Chirabo. My father is his. My grandmother. For us, our people were just recording.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yes, and in the end, they gave national IDs, even to those who were not qualifying at that time. That was the genesis of this problem.
I've seen a number of foreigners with national IDs.
Cramp them, work on them.
So that is where the problem started. So when we gave out these IDs, most of these people came, including our sisters and brothers from the other side. They registered for this national IDs, even if, when they did not qualify. So you find anybody who calls themselves Ugandan with a national ID, they move with them. Now, I think after about 10 years, no, not even 10 years, about 6 years, we started scrutinizing, cleaning our database.
Yes.
So we started getting a little strict on the issue of national ID, on the issue of passport. Even same with passports, those old passports, we used to give them, but there were mistakes then. The procedures, the process was not as stringent as it is today. And because of that, our passport was risking the integrity question. We were going to be blacklisted. We even received warnings from ICAO. ICAO is International Civil Aviation Authority organization that regulates passports. That unless you do something, your passports are in wrong hands. I remember one time there were people arrested in China, about 80 with drugs and carrying Ugandan passports.
They were Nigerians. I remember that incident.
Yeah. So
now
they asked us to go and identify them. The government of China, you know, with drugs, for them it is death. They hang you. So they were going to hang these people, and they, of course, as a diplomatic kind of way, they asked the government of Uganda to come and have the last word with the citizens. So we were asked to go to China. When we reached China, we were asked to identify these people, and we were given the list. The list had 80, and say Chizito, Chiwanuka, Chirabo, so and so, Kasumba, you know, Mundei, and name them. So when we asked this, who would call Chirabo, then of course we had to speak Luganda. Ovirawa, Gwabakuzalawa, and Okuja on Ovirawa, passport Wajifanawa, they could not speak anything. So out of the 80, we only identified 2 Ugandans, 2 like these.
So the 78 were from West Africa?
78 were not Ugandans.
But they were from West Africa.
From West Africa. They were carrying our passports.
I thought that actually many of them were from Nigeria.
So,
you know, that is the truth. Monday knows it. Because it's a story that went global, and whoever is interested could read. Yeah,
but they were not from across.
Yeah, no, they were not. They were not. So, we were trying to clean. Now, we were risking our document. So, to improve and to keep the integrity of our document, we started doing something. So when we started issuing passport, the electronic passport in 2018, we had to do something. And what is it? To scrutinize. Not whoever comes to your desk carrying a national ID is a true Ugandan.
I agree.
So we started asking questions, we started being stringent. Even right now as I talk, for you to get a national ID, in Uganda they call it Ositana. You have to struggle to get a national ID because you have got to prove, which was not a point at that time, because the case at that time we were just persuading people. Right now, everybody would want to get a national ID.
National ID.
Because
now,
it is important.
Now this takes me back to Frank. Frank, now that you know how stringent this is, as the counsel for Van Dimwe, how have you worked with the immigration office to find a leveled ground rather than saying there is hatred, it seems we are being persecuted, this is direct to us, because we have a problem, which is the law, and you're saying you're going to the Constitutional Court. But how have you worked with this group that when a Muvandimwe comes to this young man, you're talking of a young girl or a young boy of 23, 25, but also have an immigration officer who is also of the same age?
I think I've told you, we've had 3 meetings with those top officials, and we agreed the entire LOC apparatus must be in hand. We agreed a senior citizen of that area must confirm this person. Then addition to that, the language. I'll give you an example. A Munyarwanda born in Busoga speaks Busoga beyond. We have one called Bahati. He says his grandparents migrated to Busoga in 1884. His first language is Busoga. Baganda born in Buganda, the Gashumba speak Uganda better than you can even think. Banyarwanda born in Fort Portal speak Rutoro. Banyarwanda born in Bunyoro speak Runyoro. That's the third one. It's pure administrative. You get it? That's what we agreed. Because my happiest day is the day that no foreigner will ever touch our documents. Because I cannot go to Kenya, I cannot go to Congo, I cannot go to Rwanda, I cannot go to Angola and demand for their national ID because I don't belong there. I support Rwanda, I love President Paul Kagame, but I'm not a Rwandan, I'm a Ugandan. You get it? So that's what we agreed. But beyond that, the moment this young boy, this young girl produces a sack of documents with each and everything, he's told to go and naturalize. The process of naturalization in Uganda, rather do a PhD at Makerere. You get it? It's not easy. There is even where you reach and you are told to mention your country of origin. But my country of origin is
Uganda, yes.
You get it? So deliberately, there are junior officers who are frustrating our people. Some of them out of corruption. We have countless cases. Some of our people have been paying between 7 to 15 million because they are desperate. There is a young girl, she's in Mukono. She has a fully paid for master's course in Europe. She was denied a passport. There are cases of people dying because they have been denied passports. You get it? Those who have money go through the back door and pay that money. Those who don't have money, those are the ones who come to our offices. But we are willing to work with the migration. We are willing to support each other. Unfortunately, and I'm happy that Simon, we are seated here. Yesterday we were on a radio show. I wish these top guns in the government get out and see what Ugandans are going through. You get it? I'll give you another example. Council for Abavandimwe offices, we don't recommend anyone. You walk into our office, we tell you what to do. Apply for a passport, don't tell lies. Don't tell lies. Apply for a passport. After applying for a passport, go from LC1 up to LC5. So that in case there is something, Simon won't come and say it's Gashumba who recommended this person because we also don't know them. You get it? About what he said when they were registering for national IDs, he's very right. Ugandans are not serious. There are 2 things Ugandans take seriously. When he has an appointment with an American embassy, they will be there 15 minutes before. Another thing, when their battery is low, with their smartphone, they look for charger no matter where they are. You get it? The national ID project, people took it as a joke. But now, you can't open up an account without a national ID. You can't transfer land. You get it? Another thing that Simon speaks for immigration. Does Nira is under Ministry of Internal Affairs? You also speak for it.
It has a spokesperson. But
now let me tell you another case that is happening. There's something they're doing now. Very weird. You have taken the law into their hand. The moment they see that you are called Maria Munkuranga, you get it? Your name resembles the names of Rwanda. You are deleted from the system.
Well, that I will...
It's very important. You have the hard copy of the national ID with you, but on the system, you are no longer there. Meaning, if you saved your little money in a bank in Kampala, you can't
withdraw that money.
You can't withdraw money. Those are the things we are going to challenge in the Constitutional Court.
I'll have the Executive Director, Nira, Madam Chisembo here to explain where do they give the constitutional powers to delete. Well, so much, a number of messages are coming in, and allow me to read some of them. Please, let's make this short. Please make your messages short. My God. If the issue stands as Frank explains, then there is a serious problem of discrimination. The reason is I have seen many Indians possessing our IDs. Immigration, what level of bias is this? Well, please give me a name. Leave your name. Kindly do that for us. Good morning. I am watching the immigration segment. Why is it that after paying the fee set for work, residence, or citizenship permit, why do we have to facilitate the officers dealing with it? Anything from 1 million to 5 million. Do they not get a salary? Is this not corruption? Well, still I don't have a name there. And, okay, this is Omo. Well, just keep these messages. You can't explain everything, viewer, in a WhatsApp message. Let's keep them brief. I'm very sure my guests will be able to respond to whatever. And the NIRA, I may not read NIRA messages directly because they have a spokesperson. And the panel I have, they may not be able to respond to issues regarding NIRA.
People, I'm here.
I will do that. That immigration office of Uganda is the worst in Africa. I think too much loopholes. Ugandan passports and national IDs are everywhere. Go to South Sudan and you will be surprised. Simon.
But before Simon, they should even amend the law. If an LOC1 participates in a fraud and he recommends a non-Ugandan, he's picked.
Hi, good morning.
There are LOC officials who participate in such.
There. Thank you so much to talk on that issue because we are suffering about passports like me. Please, can I get Frank Gashumba's number? Please, my name is Charis Ntagwigira. Well, he's a Ugandan with a name there. Hello, moderator. Please give enough time for Gashumba to elaborate. Okay, Kadu. I think I'm trying to allocate a sufficient time to everyone on the panel. Now, good morning. I am John Paul from Soroti. Let the immigration officer also stop being arrogant to their clients. Oh, do we have...
yeah. That man, if he was in Kampala, I would buy him a bottle of wine.
Of wine.
The arrogance, the level of arrogance. Forget the Mondays of this level. The arrogance, these junior officers. He just looks at an applicant. You don't belong here, you belong to Rwanda. And now, you go to Rwanda and pick a national ID and a passport.
Now, please, sir, I want Simon Morey to tell us why it is that Somalis who were born in Uganda and whose parents were born in Uganda are disturbed so much to get passports, yet they have all the documents. Let's have Simon respond to some of those.
First of all, I want to thank all those people who sent in messages. We value your feedback, and I can say I'm in a hot chair.
Maybe also, Monde, let me just add on this. I have worked with NIRA before. I have seen the Banyarwanda want special treatment, unlike other cross-border communities. Gashumba forgets that being born in Uganda or living long in Uganda is not enough to automatically make you a Ugandan unless both or one of your parents belonged to an indigenous tribe.
Yeah, that is right. Actually, let me begin with that one. I think the problem is the law. Like I've already said, let's have this law, let's have the Franks and the group go to Parliament, petition Parliament, and we have this law change to the effect that maybe whoever is born here can become automatically Ugandan.
Like it is in the US. I think also
Canada, yes. UK, they tried it, but later on they changed.
After the 1995 constitution, it should have been the cutoff.
It would have been like that. But now, these immigration officers, the poor immigration officer, Bambi, at the passport office.
The racists.
First of all, I want to apologize. If there are any who treat our clients in a very disrespectful way, please, I apologize on their behalf.
Actually, let me also apologize. The anger you see in Gashumba, the anger you exhibit, it's a testimony of people that come to our offices every day. Not because I hate you. Why would I hate you? You get it? It's not Gashumba that is bitter, he's furious again. He wants, now there is a rumor trending that there are people paying me at the immigration to come here. Can you imagine? It's the anger, it's the pain that I carry. So I end up exploding, not because I hate you people, no. But actually, I'm carrying the message back to you. So we must have a round table. How do we have this mess sorted out before the Constitutional Court pronounces itself? Because if it sits in 2031, what is going to happen between today and 2031?
Simon, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me go ahead. The arrogance of some of our officers, I am going back to look at this. Of course, our people may not be all saints or, you know, but if there is one or two officers who may have exhibited signs of arrogance to any of our clients, I think this is not proper. We shall try to talk to them. About Indians having our IDs and passports, well, some of these, in fact, most of these people have gone through the process. When you see an Indian or a Mzungu carrying our passport, don't crucify them. Some of these go through. We have told you that there's a citizenship by registration. If you live here 10 years or more legally on, say, work permit or stuff like that, you apply for citizenship due to to registration, and you're able to get a passport and national ID. So do not crucify any Indian out there, any Muzungu, or any colored person out there carrying our passports. Most of these actually carry them legally. Or those, somebody referred to some people in South Sudan. That's okay. About facilitating our officers at immigration, we do not support, and we do not support corruption at all. We condemn corruption in the strongest terms possible. In case there's anybody who paid a fee at immigration, give me a name, give me evidence where I can begin from.
And you investigate
and
that.
Investigate, and somebody will have to go to Luzira. You know where corrupt people go.
Definitely. Of course.
Yes. So about Somalis, somebody was saying Somalis, for as long as your parents are non-Ugandans here, you are not a Ugandan. Even if you were born here in 1940.
But something you should clarify, Simon, there are many Somalis that are Ugandans, many.
Yeah, they
For
register.
example, you know Omar of Cafe Javas. He's a Ugandan 100%.
Registered Ugandan.
Don't judge people based on their appearance. You get it? Don't judge them. Because your viewers, you should also know this, that Uganda found Banyarwanda in Uganda. Masaka was part of Rwanda. You should know that.
There are also Ugandans in UK with British passports, US with US passports.
Now, going back to Mr. Gashumba, time is fast spent. Someone asked a question, Gashumba. One, you're talking about the Bavandimwe. Now, who are these people? Clarify.
My brother.
Then another one asks you, did you vote in the Rwanda elections? And are you going to vote in Uganda elections? One says, you people apply for dual citizenship than wasting our time.
First, the Bavandimwe, I need an hour to explain it. This idea of having a Bavandimwe community in Uganda started. We wanted to distinguish between Rwandan citizens and citizens of Uganda called Banyarwanda. The way Bafumbira did it. You know Bafumbira are Banyarwanda. Bafumbira 100% Abanyarwanda. They realized that Ugandans could hardly separate Rwandans and Ugandans. So they created an ethnic group called Bafumbira.
Yes.
And Bafumbira, if a Mufumbira applied for a passport now, and another young girl called Marion Mutes applied for a passport, and she feels in Munyarwanda, chances are 99% that Mufumbira will be issued a passport, and Marion Mutes Munyarwanda won't be issued a passport. And they're same blood, you get it? So we wanted to bring Banyarwanda closer to Ugandan ethnic groups, you get it? About participating in the Rwandan elections, never. I'm a friend of Rwanda. I love President Kagame. I love Rwanda, but I cannot participate in the Rwandan elections because I'm not a Rwandan. I'm a Ugandan. There are many things I don't agree on with the NRM government, but I know President Yoweri Museveni is my president. You get it? And I carry a Ugandan passport. I can never participate in the Rwanda elections. I can visit Rwanda. For example, 2 weeks back, I was in Rwanda. As PLU, we decided to go to Rwanda on how they call it? There's a new terminology you people are using now. Benching. There's a way you
benchmarking.
Benchmarking. To see how is RPF doing in their elections. What tactics can we borrow from Rwanda? So I was there to visit. Participating in Rwanda elections, it will never happen.
Yeah.
Well, time seems I must...
Robert, I wanted to say this.
Briefly, please, I must wind up.
Most of these people who have had issues with us, they come to immigration officer carrying a Rwandan national ID and also a Ugandan national ID. What do you really expect us?
Get them, crumple them.
We have actually now, as I talk, we are prosecuting 355. They're in court. They have Ugandan national ID. They have Rwandese national. Some of them even have Rwandese passports. They are coming to apply for Ugandan passports.
Expose them.
Yes. That we have now actually started exposing.
Please expose
Previously, them. We thought these are, like brothers. We have been handling them with the kid.
Gashumba says, expose them.
Do you know
in a minute, Frank, I must get out of here for the next program.
When you expose them, chances are high they will stop coming to Uganda to acquire our national IDs and passports.
Well, thank you so much, Frank Gashumba and Simon Mondei, spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Gashumba from the Bavandimwe Council. Well, we must end here for yet the next program.
But we are all Ugandans.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC.